We have a very different twist than your traditional recognition companies. Most companies do gift cards, they do t-shirts, they do merchandise, they do rewards points. Every Blueboard reward is an experience. So if you receive a Blueboard reward, you could choose to go jump out of a plane for the first time, or maybe you want to take your husband or your wife to a couples massage, or take the kids to a Giants game. So it's all about getting people out and about if they do well at work. This picture is, I think, the experience that got us the most press. A couple years ago, we did a James Bond experience. We turned an employee from HP into James Bond for the day. They got to wear a tux with a friend. They jumped out of a plane, had an Aston Martin waiting for them on the runway. They got to drive it all afternoon, and then they learned to make the perfect martini with one of the most famous bartenders in San Francisco. So we have fun doing stuff like that. But I'll talk a little bit about Blueboard later, but what I'm really going to focus on today is how do companies win the war on talent. And I'm a big frameworks person, I'm big on different concepts. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to share with you 4 very simple truths about winning the war on talent. And then I'm also going to share with you a framework on different people initiatives and sort of how they evolve in organizations over time. And hopefully you can use that just as good context for when you're evaluating your own people initiatives. So simple truth number 1, if you want to attract and retain the best talent, you need to understand what people want, and you deliver it. To attract and retain the best talent, understand what people want and deliver it. Simple, right? Really simple. It's actually really, really difficult to understand what people want, especially the way that people's wants and needs from their jobs are changing very, very rapidly. What people wanted from their jobs a generation ago is very different from what they wanted today. And I was having a conversation with one of our clients a couple months ago, and a question they asked me really stuck out to me and made me realize that there's this very interesting thing that happens. They said, hey, we just don't understand what millennials want. What do millennials want from work? And if you look at the workforce stats for millennials, they're frightening. Millennials, the largest generation in the workforce, over 70% of them are not engaged, and they stay at the companies for 3 years or less on average, right? So as an HR leader, this is a big challenge, and this is sort of alarming because you don't want to pour all this money and time into talent acquisition if your resources are staying for shorter and shorter amounts of time. So it's a real problem. And so I looked at them and I said, hey, like if you want to understand what millennials want, let's think about what they spend their time and money on outside of work. And just that little question, that paradigm shift, changed the way that they thought about it. And what it made me realize is that we have a tendency, it's a subconscious tendency, when we're looking at our talent, we look at them in 2 different ways. We look at people as having a worker self, the person that comes to work every day, and also a personal self. That's just a subconscious thing that we do. It's rooted in something that started in the industrial age, like centuries ago, and it also carried over to when baby boomers got their first jobs out of college. So if you look at Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right, very, very classic framework, boomers, when they got their first jobs, they were only concerned about the bottom 2 rungs of Maslow's hierarchy, right? They wanted to get a job so that they could provide for their family, have enough money to raise a family, buy a house, and then have the security of having a longer job. It was simple enough for them. That's really all that they wanted. But if you look at what millennials want today, you look at top publications, you look at Gallup, you look at studies by Deloitte or Harvard, this is what millennials want. We want a whole different slew of things than previous generations. We want to feel aligned with our company's mission and values. We want to feel a sense of purpose. We want continuous feedback. And what's really interesting is if you look at what millennials want, they're trying to get all 5 levels of Maslow's hierarchy from their jobs. So their expectation and what they look for is completely different, and it's much more robust what previous generations were looking for. And so when designing talent initiatives and people initiatives, it's really important to understand this, that people are there's no separation between the worker self and the personal self. There's just the self. And so simple truth number 2 is that people want to be treated like humans. They want to be recognized for their individuality. They have different passions, they have different hobbies, they have different dreams, and people really truly expect this out of the workforce. Now, millennials are the first generation that have actually pushed for this, and sort of this is how they look for jobs. That doesn't mean it's something that other generations don't want. other generations want the exact same thing. The old paradigm was so strong that they didn't know that this is something they could ask for. So this is something that millennials are pushing for, and it's trickling through the rest of the workforce. Gen X, baby boomers, they're gonna want the exact same thing. And something that Dale brought up earlier, which I think is really interesting, is millennials are truly the first consumer of the workplace. When they are looking for jobs, they want to be treated like humans, so they're going to be looking for the best place for them in a way that no generation has ever done before. But if you're able to foster that connection with the millennial workers, people will be proud to work for your company. They'll be a good brand ambassador for you. They'll help you build your employer brand, and they'll do things like put your sticker on your laptop, or they're going to wear your Google gym shorts, or they're going to wear your Palantir t-shirts if you're ever around Palo Alto. The companies that have really nailed this concept, you can see it because their employees become brand ambassadors for their companies. So let's talk about this framework that I mentioned. Let's say you understand what people want. How do you actually deliver what people want? It's a very, very interesting topic to us because it's really hard to deliver human-centric programs at scale. So when we think about this internally, this is something we use internally at Blueboard. I've actually never shared this externally, so I'd be super interested to hear feedback afterwards if you guys would care to share. But we think about, there we go. We think about this on two axes. So the first is human-centric. On the right side, you have like a very human-centric experience. On the left side, it's something that's very cookie-cutter, one-size-fits-all, HR 1.0. On the vertical axis, you have process and automation. So on top, you have something that's highly automated and scalable. At the bottom, you have something that's very manual. So I'll do an example for this in a second, but typically when HR initiatives are launched, they go through four phases. So the first is your experimentation phase. This is something where you have an idea for a new program, you just want to try it out. It's usually really human-centric and customized because you're trying to test what people want and what works, but it's not scalable at this point at all because all you're doing is trying something out. After, let's say, this program that you're trying out gains some legs and you want to roll it out a little bit wider across the company, can anyone guess where the second point will be on our axes? Do you want to guess, Dale? So the next one, yeah, it's going to move over here. So it's going to be something that's a little bit more automated, but it's going to lose a little bit more of that human-centricness, if you will. It'll still be human, but it's going to be a little more automated, which is going to strip away some of the human side of things. Typically, this is internal. Now, the next thing when companies want to do something company-wide, what they'll do is they'll go and find their first external solution for it. And most solutions up till now, there's a lot of like better HR tech solutions coming up. But most of the large HR tech solutions will then take us up into the far upper left, which is something that's incredibly automated, incredibly scalable. I'll talk about my experience at Accenture, which is where I got the idea for Blueboard. But large companies often use systems that are very automated, but have no semblance of humanity whatsoever. And so that's typically the journey that companies go on. And now the holy grail of what companies are working towards today is we want things that are completely human-centric, but also incredibly scalable and something that we can roll out across the organization. So I'll do a quick case study for this in a second, but that leads me to simple truth number 3. So delivering human-centric programs at scale is a challenge, but it's not impossible. It's very difficult, but it's not impossible. And so what I'd like to do is walk you through that exact same framework, but use recognition as an example. We're going to use recognition. That's what my company does. We understand it the deepest. It's also completely broken, so it's a really easy target to pick on. We also like recognition because it directly attacks these top 3 levels of Maslow's hierarchy if delivered correctly. So if delivered correctly, recognition will fulfill your belongingness and love needs. It'll create that connection and camaraderie between you and your company and your coworkers. It'll also fulfill your esteem needs, meaning that you'll actually feel accomplishment if you're recognized correctly. And lastly, it's external validation of your self-actualization. It's saying, yes, you're getting close to reaching your potential. So recognition, used correctly, is a very, very powerful thing. And so specifically for this example, we'll look at the belongingness and love needs as an example for recognition and how we can fulfill that using recognition. So like I said, recognition is really broken today. US companies spend $50 billion a year on recognition. By comparison, they spend about $14 billion a year on HR software. So the amount of money spent on gift cards, merchandise, sales incentives far outweighs the software spend, which is surprising to people. It's typically about 1% of payroll. Deloitte did an interesting study that found that 87% of the spend has no impact on organizational performance. So most recognition spend doesn't increase people's loyalty to the company, it doesn't increase engagement, it doesn't increase performance. So companies are basically wasting a ton of money. And a lot of the reason is because companies make it to stage 3, and then it becomes like not a human-centric experience, and then it just falls flat, and it just becomes a waste of money. So let's look at how companies sort of evolve through these 4 stages. So first, I'm going to use one of our first client, actually, which was really cool. We landed them going door to door like 3 years ago. So it was so exciting when they signed with us. But Bungle, what they used to do for their anniversary programs is they said, hey, we're going to send you to a restaurant that you want to go to. And their HR admin would actually go to each person on their anniversary and say like, hey, and they would explain the program. And they'd say like, hey, we want to send you and one person to a restaurant of your choice. It's going to be amazing. We'll cover the tab. You can go wherever you want, be a little bit of back and forth. The person would make the reservation. Really cool program, very customized. It's a really great experience, but it's not scalable at all. Because when your company gets to 100, 200, 1,000 people, there's no way that you can justify having someone go around and ask someone what restaurant they want to go to, right? So then companies tend to get smarter, and then they put some basic processes in place. So this next example is a company called Chartboost. They had something similar when they started working with us. Theirs was, on your anniversary, they would send you a Google form where you could choose between 6 different experiences. So you could go golfing, you could go to a Giants game and sit in club seats, you could go go-karting and a couple other things. So again, a little bit more process right there, and it's still very human-centric, but it's not as customizable and awesome as something like Bungle was doing. The next one is what I experienced at Accenture. At Accenture, they have very highly scalable recognition platforms there. So scalable that I got an email on my 1-year anniversary at 7 a.m. and it said, "Dear Taylor Smith, we really appreciate your dedication to Accenture. Congratulations on your 1 year." And then there's a little picture of the CEO's signature at the bottom. And then at the bottom it said like, "Sent to employee 1856357 at 7 a.m. Pacific time." And it's just the opposite of human-centric experience, right? But it's highly scalable, and that's why companies like Accenture that have 300,000 people, they adopt things like this, because it's too damn hard to do stuff up here. And so that is what Blueboard is doing today. We've created the first recognition platform that's instantly scalable across like very large organizations, and it's highly personalized. And I'll tell you what we do in a second. A few minutes, okay. So at Blueboard, we're delivering human-centric recognition at scale. Just quickly what we do and how we do recognition differently. It's all experiences, right? Experiences are incredibly shareable. They spread through organizations. Stories spread, people connect. With gift cards, $16 billion a year spent on gift cards. The interaction typically looks like this. Manager gives an employee a gift card, that's the end of it. The employee doesn't come back on Monday saying, "Thank you so much for that gift card. I used it to go shopping, it was amazing, thank you so much. I'm gonna tell all my friends that I got this gift card." It just doesn't happen. That interaction ends there, it's very insular. What's been the rage recently is social recognition. A lot of peer-to-peer recognition. Do people like this? Yeah, they do. Social recognition is pretty cool. A manager recognizes an employee, and then through a social feed of some sort, other people hear about it, right? So there are other people, it does spread through the organization, so peer-to-peer recognition is cool. Our view on peer-to-peer is because it's so frequent, the novelty wears away very quickly, and the value of being recognized over time actually declines. Now with experiential rewards, and a manager gives an employee a reward, and let's say they choose to take a group of 4 friends wine tasting in Napa for a wine weekend. What's really cool is what happens on Mondays, they come in, they tell their friend, and their friend says, "Hey, Taylor won a sales award, he got to go to Napa with all his friends," and they tell another person, start the water cooler effect, people start talking to each other, and all of a sudden you're building these connections between people at the office using recognition in a way that it's never really done before. So this is what we do at Blueboard. So the simple truth number 4 is that recognition is a lower hanging fruit initiative that touches all 3 of Maslow's priority human needs. How am I doing on time? 2 minutes?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But yeah, so just quickly. 1 minute, okay, cool. No, it's no problem. So that's what we do at Blueboard. We allow companies and managers to send experiential rewards with just 1 click. So you can roll it out to 10,000 managers instead of them having to say, hey, I want to send you to a couples massage and research it and book it and spend an hour or 2 hours out of their day to make this stuff happen. We make it happen in 30 seconds. So we've made something that companies can roll out at scale and have very personal recognition. The employee has final choice of what they want to do, and we actually set it up for them. So it's very seamless. They just show up and have a great time. Yeah, we're working with awesome companies. It works pretty well. People feel appreciated. They feel that Blueboard impacts company culture very positively. People believe it's a good tool to retain top talent, and yeah, that's what we do. So in summary, to attract and retain the best talent, understand what people want, then deliver it. Number 2, people want to be treated like humans. Number 3, delivering human-centric programs is difficult, but it's not impossible. Yeah, my screen went blank too. Number 4 is that recognition is a lower hanging fruit initiative that touches the 3 priority levels of Maslow's hierarchy. So yeah, thank you guys for listening, appreciate it. Yeah, and if you want slides, just email me, happy to share.
Okay, thanks so much. I think we've got